Alright, so I got the new torso area made. I just got done removing one of the legs from the original torso, which is right here, as you can tell. Luckily, the way I designed this thing, all I really need to do is just either press on the areas here, or just use my box cutter to cut it. And you can clearly see how I have the hot glue set up for the shoes. So once I get this other leg pulled off, I'm going to also remove it from this little base too. And hopefully this time the actual legs will sit properly and everything will work right. And most likely what I'm going to do after that is I am probably going to actually call it for today, because I actually spent most of today getting this stinking XP machine up and running again to play a game or two, since Trackmania, the first free version of Trackmania that came out, doesn't function on any computers that are above XP. So that's what I was doing, was getting this old XP machine back up and running. And surprisingly enough, for how old this thing is, it runs the original game pretty well at pretty decent quality, especially at above 720p resolution, which is quite surprising for considering how dated this hardware is. But this video is not about my XP machine, it's about this. I just wanted to explain what mostly took up all my day was this thing. Alright, and with that I got both legs attached. I'm more happy with how this one came out. It just really sucks it took me a freaking week to get the legs all situated, but I seem to have them functioning properly. I still have to go in there and reinforce the upper half of the legs, and I still have to go in and also reinforce the torso. But everything's set up temporarily, so I can figure out how everything's going to look. Since again, I'm still in the process of making sure I have everything set up. So I have the legs held, so I have the top of the legs held together with two sticks here, and I have two of the bottom legs hooked up with two sticks there. And let's see, yeah. So I'm guessing the next thing for me to do is to finish up the bottom half of the skirt, which is this right here is the inner lining, like I showed in the previous video. So let's see. How can I do this one-handed? I really can't. Give me a second. More or less like that. Granted, the torso is actually supposed to be sticking up about maybe an inch or so on both top and on both front and back, which I did show off previously in another video. So I'm going to have to eventually cut this open to allow this thing to actually properly sit in right. But at least when it comes to height wise, she is starting to look about the proper height, even though again the shoes are really freaking puny for her size, but whatever. So yeah. Right now, one of the other things I'm trying to figure out is how I'm going to be carrying her at my local conventions. Granted, like I keep stating, I highly doubt we'll be having any anime conventions this year. But if we do, it's probably going to be really late. So most of the times I end up going like this and just picking them up like that. And it looks like that is going to be in fact the case. But I still have to go in there and reinforce everything. I also thought that I'll also be grabbing by the knees, which is something I had to do with a previous life-size build. So that also goes into why I have to make sure the legs are reinforced, is because sometimes I'm able to pick them up through the creeper way, or through this way, or sometimes I have to pick them up through the legs. So I have to make sure the legs are nice and sturdy, and I also have to make sure that this area is nice and sturdy too, for if that ends up being the case. Like I said, there's a lot that goes into these builds and whatnot. So with that said, the main reason why I really didn't get anywhere today is because I actually spent most of my day getting this XP machine back up and running again. And luckily, it still turns on. This is my father's old XP machine, and it's noisier than sin. I think it's actually noisier than my 98 out in the living room. But most of the noise is coming from the blower style cooling fan for the GPU here. But again, this thing does its job. It plays a few old games that I like playing, so it's going to be serving a purpose. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to be going off to bed, and tomorrow I'm going to start. And tomorrow when I wake up, I'm actually going to get a good chunk of this completed. So I will come back tomorrow at some point when I feel like it. When I get to a certain point with the skirt. Hope this part's going to be annoying and tedious. I gotta wrap all this around here. It's probably going to take me a good 30 minutes or so, give or take. So, yeah, I'll come back when this is completed. Alright, I got the inner trimming done. Now I gotta build the small little piece that goes right here, and then I can start building the outer skirt. Though right now I'm going to take a small break. I'm going to work on a computer I'm going to hopefully add Windows XP onto so I can have an XP machine. I actually have one right there, but that one's really noisy. It's my father's old one. It has a Pentium 4, which is still a good processor, but this thing has either a newer Celeron for that can handle XP, or I can just easily upgrade it to one of my quad cores from the era that this computer came out. Also, I got a storm or two coming in, so that's also another reason to stop. So yeah, or at least take a small break. Currently, right now, I'm taking a small break to install Windows XP on an old desktop right here. This has an Intel dual core dual or something like that from 2006-2007. A 9400 GT, so it's a decent GPU for what this computer is. And yeah, I mean, taking a small break to get this thing set up. I also went and printed off the next sheet that I'm working on. Now, as you can tell, the actual thickness of the paper I'm working with is relatively small. So when it comes to folding and cutting, I have to be a bit more delicate than I would like to be. But this is nothing out of the ordinary for me. I've done this in the past. I just don't like doing it because it just takes twice as long because I have to be a lot more delicate with it. But yeah, once I get my XP machine up and running, then I'm most likely going to start back up on the base for rim skirt. All right. Let's see if I got my XP machine in full working order. This will be the last time I actually upload about this thing, or at least keep it in this build video, but I just want to show what exactly I'm doing. Though I am also currently in the process of getting the little pieces cut out and formed. But I'm also working on this thing. I think I just got the audio driver installed and the GPU driver installed. Everything seems to be in full working order now. So finally got myself a nice working XP machine. Though this game's the only real reason why I got this XP machine up and running. Believe it or not, this is the free version of Trackmania way back. And there's still people playing to this day. Granted, it's a pretty minuscule fan base. And the person that was here left because the track that I'm currently on is total garbage. Pure, utter garbage. So I'm still in the process of adding the little fringe pieces here. But the guy that does the posing and whatnot for me actually went through and did everything. So here is the modified model with the embedded formers and the fixed eye socket area and whatnot, which is now a lot more easier for me to work with. And if he did everything the way I think he did, if I remember where exactly it is, object list, I can unselect all, and I can find the former set, which is this right here. These are all the formers that are required in her, so all I gotta do is just delete everything else to where I just have the formers. Then I can just literally take the former PO or whatever it's called and just literally meld it to the current model I got right here. The only time I have to go back to that new model is to get the eye socket piece printed out and whatnot. So for right now, I'll just be continuing to use this one, and I'll just import the formers. So I will come back in a bit. So I've been spending a while on the inner lining. I initially thought that I had to continue with the inner lining, but I didn't actually take a good look at how he modeled of what he did to the modifications for our rim here. So what he did is that he just added a little piece right here, which you can see, which is this little piece that just extends off the very top of the torso, as you already can tell. So I just got to add that little extension piece to the very top of the torso, and now everything will sit properly. So I got to do that. And as you can tell, the inner lining is now gone. So pretty much now all I need to do is I just need to start from building the skirt onward. So if I go and back to object list and select all again, everything now shows up as it should, and it looks like with the way he designed it, the skirt itself is also removable. That way, so I can make it even more compact when I go to move it to anime conventions and whatnot. Again, like I keep stating, I don't expect any anime conventions this year. So the only thing I gotta do is I gotta unfold this thing and make sure that when I type in the exact same scaling that I have for the current rim model, that everything still lines up. And once that's all nice and done, then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to start building the outer skirt and then go from there. So with that said, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put this in the recycle since I don't need it anymore. Thank you. And I'm going to do some scaling tests and make sure everything is properly scaled and then go on from there. And then I'm most likely going to call it for today because I am pretty tired. I was spending quite a bit on getting this stupid computer up and running again. Alright, so here is the improved model. And here is a very simple test to make sure everything still scales. All I gotta do is print off the shoe of one of Rim's feet and see if it matches up with the current legs I got right now. So I'm going to cut it out and I'm going to come back if a yay or nay. Verdict is everything scales as it should. So what I'm going to do now actually is I'm going to clean up some of the mess that is my room. This is pissing me off. Of course, I also got buttoned up my XP machine, but I'm going to try and clean my room up some. It's always going to be a mess, but I want to try and negate it somewhat. Isn't that right, Mr. Turtle? Hey, don't turn your back on me, you jerk. I'll end this video here by giving tomorrow's plans. Tomorrow's plans is for me to go in there and fully reinforce the legs, get all this nice and reinforced, get everything set up for the wooden down and all that stuff. And then I'll start on the skirt and whatnot. And also feed my annoying turtle tomorrow when I wake up because he just got fed literally 5 minutes ago. Mr. Annoying Turtle. What do you think, Miss Patty of Dum Dum?